Why are life skills even important, especially for our kids? Why bother raising independent kids? Welcome, friends, to the This Japanese American Life interview series. I'm all about making life easier for busy parents. You've seen it with the Japanese food, travel, and culture tips, but I also love sharing ways to help kids embrace their abilities, develop their confidence, and even their identity culturally and as part of the family. So I'm really excited to do more interviews as part of this channel, and I believe parenting is a journey of raising future adults. So I'm excited to kick off with the amazing Katie Kimball and this topic near and dear to my heart, life skills for kids. Katie is known as the national voice of healthy kids cooking. She is a former teacher, two-time TEDx speaker, writer, and mom of four kids. She created the Kids Cook's Real Food eCourse, which was recommended by the Wall Street Journal as the best online cooking class for kids. Her blog, Kitchen Stewardship, helps families stay healthy without going crazy. And she's on a mission to connect families around healthy food, teach every child to cook, and help families instill those all important life skills. Amen. I have been looking forward to this chat. So thank you, Katie, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Amy. I love talking about life skills and parents, and we're just going to get into it.
Absolutely. I know I shared a bit about your background already in that blurb, but I'd love for you to share your version of your quick story and especially your passion for teaching kids.
Well, I've always known I was going to be a teacher. Like what, 5 years old, that was very clear. I never wavered. I never questioned my career path or thought I would change careers, except that I was only in an actual classroom for 2 years, which is kind of funny because I spent 5 years in college getting the degree for 2 years in the classroom. So luckily, I mean, I think I still use some of the stuff I learned in college. I'm still a teacher, right? So when I transitioned into working online, I started teaching other moms like me because as a young mom myself, I was learning so much about health and nutrition and this little tiny baby that I had to feed and keep alive and maybe better than alive, like actually healthy and thriving. And so I made all the mistakes in the kitchen and I was constantly thinking like, how can I help other moms do this better, like a faster path to success? Especially because I was on a really tight budget. Like everyone's got the same time budget, 24 hours in a day, and we have to sleep some. That's my weakness. I don't sleep enough. Um, and we all want our kids to be healthy. And so I just felt like there was a lot of tension pulling at those different areas, aspects of motherhood and of home management. So that's where Kitchen Stewardship, which is my original blog online, started. And I thought I was going to write a book. That's how Kitchen Stewardship started, is I thought I wanted to write this book. But within just a few months, I loved the interaction of comments and of building this community online. And I was like, this book idea was completely out the window. So that was 15 years ago. I'm a bit of an OG blogger when it comes to when it comes to that. And it was about half that time, about 8 years ago, that we shifted into Kids Cook Real Food and teaching kids to cook. And that just grew out of conversations with the online community saying, gosh, Katie, I just want to be healthy. I want to cook, but this is so hard because I was never taught to cook anything. Like, forget healthy food. I don't even know how to cook, canned biscuits. And so I thought if our generation is not comfortable in the kitchen, we're definitely not passing it on to our kids. So I kind of wanted to step into that gap, and that's where Kids Cook Real Food was grown.
I love that this is a shared passion that we have for moms, for kids. And so, can we just talk about why are life skills even important, especially for our kids? Why bother raising independent kids?
Well, let me say that I don't think we've talked about my kids' ages yet, but I have a 19-year-old, I have an almost 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So I've got like pretty much everybody but the toddlers, right? Like all the schools have a Kimball in them. And we've graduated one. My 19-year-old is a year away now. He's a year past graduation. And so I am speaking from experience here. Like this actually works. We're generating healthy, independent adults when we give our kids independence. So we know as creatures, humans really desire choice and agency. We desire feeling a sense of control over our world and over ourselves. And we could see that in like, when do children throw tantrums? It's when they're being told to do something they don't want to do, right? When do I throw a tantrum as an adult? It's when something didn't go my way. Like we so we all want that. And as parents, we've got to figure out how to give our children the independence that they deserve, that they will get when they're 18 in small doses, right? So I call it that gradual release of responsibility year after year after year. We have to give them more independence because what are they going to do when they turn 18 and they have all the choices in the world, but they've never been taught how to make good choices, right? They have to take care of themselves, but they've never been taught the basic life skills that they need to run a household, to buy food, to feed themselves, to prepare the food, to interact with other human beings with actual eye contact instead of our thumbs on a screen. There are so many skills that really can't be taught in schools. They really don't have time with the curriculums that they have. We parents have to pass these skills on to our kids. And so yes, it's preparing for adulthood. Like that's step one, but it's also so good for them in their childhoods. Again, because I like to talk about anxiety. I think life skills are the anti-anxiety antidote because again, like what is anxiety? Anxiety is feeling like something bad is going to happen to you over which you have no control. Well, if kids don't have any skills, if they can't do things in the world, they really feel like they have no control and their anxiety goes up because they have to depend on someone else for everything. That's healthy for a newborn. That's great. It's not so healthy for 9-year old, a 12-year-old. The older we get, it actually creates a lot of anxiety if you don't know what's going to happen or what you can do in your world. So being able to learn these life skills, do something successfully, especially like feeding another human being, right? Like
Mhm.
what more powerful call is there than to nourish another human being? So if I can do that as a 7-year-old, I'm feeling like pretty hot stuff, right? The self-esteem
Yeah.
bucket is being filled and overflowing in a massive way. So that's going to decrease our kids' slide into anxiety, which is at epidemic numbers right now. So
Mhm.
sad. Like I want to protect my kids, I want to protect your kids from that feeling of anxiety, and they're going to feel more confident. They're going to be better leaders. My kids, and I can say this pretty confidently, especially about the older kids, they are often seen as leaders. Teachers say that they're just different.
Mm.
They rise above their cohort group. And I don't think that I'm anything special. I think that I just really intentionally made some choices and they're working out okay. So I would encourage
Yeah.
y'all to make the same choices, like give those kids authentic skills and opportunities for success and confidence in everyday life.
Yeah, I love that. My kids are 8 and 10, and I can see their confidence from one thing, one skill shift into all the other ones, right? So I love that you shared that part of it. So do you see life skills? I think we kind of touched on this, but do you see life skills being actively taught or being valued in schools and society as a whole? And I ask because I recall these summers that I would go to Japan. I had like a month that I would do Japan school, which I hated as a kid, but I did it twice in my life when I was visiting family. But I would walk to school by myself. Well, not by myself, with my friends, but no adults, right?
Yeah.
I was trusted to do that. We prepared lunches for each other. We cleaned the school after lunch. Like these were things that were ingrained in the kids. And so I think about that for our kids here and go, are we learning things differently? Are we like expecting that to be an important thing that kids learn? So do you see that?
It's a constant tug of war for schools. I mean, I often talk about our Life Skills Now summer camp as we're bridging the gap where traditional education is not able to, complete the life skills. But I
Mhm.
don't see it as like a judgment or like it's their fault because the curriculum is so intense, the academic curriculum that schools are expected, to perform. And we've got lots of kids, especially in this post-pandemic era, whatever age these kids were at when they went through the
Mhm.
pandemic, they are missing some stuff. They're missing
Yeah.
some academic skills, they're missing some social skills. And so teachers are really having a bigger struggle now than when I was in the classroom 20 years ago with
Mhm.
classroom management. It takes a lot of time. So, yes and no. I was just on a call with a high school principal earlier today, and he said, we're realizing that we have to teach a lot of soft skills that we didn't used to have to teach. So
Mhm.
I thought it was really interesting, and I could hear the tension in his voice. And what he didn't say was, "Dang, we don't have time to do this," right?
Yeah.
But I felt it, in his voice saying like, we have to teach this because the kids are failing, not failing, but the kids are faltering, they're struggling,
Yeah.
but we're not figuring out how to do it.
Mhm.
We can't figure out where to fit it in and like which teacher should teach what, especially at the high school level, of course, because everything's compartmentalized with the hours. So the bottom line is yes and no. Schools, I think, know that some of these soft skills are very important and they're
Mhm.
trying, but there's only so many hours and minutes in the day
Yeah.
and they have so much to cram in. So it's definitely on the parents to model these life skills and to teach them at home
Yeah.
because it can't be done at school.
Yeah. I'm totally digressing too because I helped with like a project cornerstone is what we call it, but parents go in and teach these softer skills and more emotional learning kind of skills. Take like an hour a month, of reading a book together and activities. And it was something that the schools welcomed. So I appreciated that and not just focusing on the test taking and all the stuff, the academics that are important. And around here there's like coding, all kinds of coding classes, right? I'm in Silicon Valley, so there's a lot of emphasis on that, but yeah, the life skills are so, so important to me. We've talked about how we do a lot of things for our kids, and so they don't necessarily learn things, and then they don't feel like they have the competence to do things for themselves, and they have to rely on other people. So it is totally natural for us as parents to want to keep our kids safe, right? And not hurt themselves with a knife or fall out of a tree or things like that, but it might be hurting them, right? Can we talk about how can we help people see that these risks are sometimes necessary and even beneficial for the kids' well-being?
Yeah, I interviewed Lenore Skenazy, who's the founder of Free Range Kids and the Let Grow Project. She's incredible, and she calls this beneficial risks. And you
Mm,
just use the word beneficial, so maybe you know her. She calls it beneficial risks, and I liken it to almost an inoculation of sorts. Like, here's the thing: when your child becomes a teenager, their brains are going to push them into risk taking. That is how a teenage brain is wired. It is unfortunately not completely developed in the, upper human executive functioning area. And so they're going to think not only, I mean, they want to separate from their parents, they want to take risks. They're also going to have a really hard time assessing the level of risk that they're about to step into
mhm,
if they've never practiced it, right? So when I use the word inoculation, just imagine this, you're afraid that your child's going to get sick. Therefore, you keep them home, you sanitize everything they touch, you never let anyone go into their room, which first of all, obviously they're socially inept as well. But let's just talk germs, right? And then when they're 18, they go out into the world, they get a job, and every cold is going to knock them out, right? Because their immune system has never seen anything like it. Same with risk. If your kid has never taken or rarely takes beneficial risks where there's an actual element of danger under your tutelage, under you, like helping them assess those risks and fail a little bit, right? Maybe they do cut their finger on a knife. Maybe they fall. I mean, we're hoping our kids aren't falling out of trees, but maybe they fall off of a playground structure at age 2 because you let them go one step higher than you were comfortable with. They get a bump, they get an owie, but they're not going to the hospital.
mhm.
Amy, when your kids have their driver's licenses,
Oh, so scared.
and they don't know how to assess risks, like, oh, my whole body just, you said I'm so scared, all my hair just stood on end because I'm thinking about how important this is. When
Yeah.
they have cell phones and driver's licenses and they don't know how to assess the risks they're taking, they are going to the hospital, right? They are having mental health crises with social media. It's The risks are so much bigger. We must give our kids practice at
Mhm.
taking real risks in real situations as young as possible. And then the risks get bigger, but they're able to assess how safe they can be when it really matters. It's so important.
Oh, I love this on so many counts because while they're little, if they can learn these skills, right, then, like you said, the mistakes are small. And we'll talk about some of the life skill stuff more, but like money is one of those things too, right? Where we give our kids the ability to use money that they are given, but I have a hard time letting go sometimes. Like, really, you want to use it on that? But I need to give them that ability to decide and make their own mistakes with, the $50 that they were given or whatever it is, so that in the future they can be much better functioning adults that make better decisions.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
Well, there are moms watching this with a huge range of ages,
Mhm.
whether they're expecting, teens, beyond, right? How do you figure out what to expect from kids at different ages?
This is a real balance too, Amy, because I don't think that there's a formula where,
Mhm.
2-year-olds can do this, 4-year-olds can do this. We start with what they're interested in. Because if we say, okay, thou shalt learn to dust today, maybe they're capable of dusting, but if they don't care about it, it's going to be a little bit of a battle. So we always start with what they're the most interested in, and which means that our kids below 5 are prime targets because they're the ones who are saying, "Mama, can I help?"
Yeah,
Right? And so
absolutely.
we've got to say yes more often. I think our knee-jerk reaction is like, no, 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 honey, you don't need to do this, right? Mom can do it faster. I can do it faster myself.
Yep. Faster,
Um,
cleaner.
right, better, more accurate.
Yeah.
So we've got to like really, really teach yourself, push yourself to pull in your under 5 kids if you've still got them. And there are lots of kids in elementary school who have interest too, right? Like, man, if your child says they want to try a recipe, figure out when to do it. It might not be that minute. That minute might be the worst time in your week to say yes. So you say yes, and let's put that in the calendar for Saturday morning or whenever it works for you, right? Figure it out because if they have some interest, like that's step one. They're ready. Great. If it
Yeah.
seems too hard for them, then do it side along with them and they will more quickly master those skills independently because of their interest. If your kids aren't interested in any, life skills, house management, stress management, stuff like that, it's I think probably the answer to what are they ready for is one step higher than you expect. I think if we need a formula, because we often tend to see our kids as like little and helpless, and we forget how fast they advance and how much more they can be doing. I look back at pictures of my daughter who's 15 now and my son who's 12 now. They were both using very sharp knives by age 7 and maybe even before. And the poor baby of the family kind of gets forgotten. So my baby of the family is 9.5, and he's still like not hasn't touched a chef's knife. It's not that he can't do it; it's just that I haven't taken the time. And
Hmm.
because he's the baby of the family, there's not like another one pushing him to grow up faster. So we forget how competent he can be. A funny story, because again, I have a 19-year-old, so it's like phase 5 parenting where we
Yeah.
can leave even for an overnight and our kids can handle life on their own. By the way, that's why you teach life skills.
That's
So
right.
that
That's
you
right.
can leave for an overnight and your kids can feed each other and everything. But my oldest, who is going to have to run the morning routine for my youngest on a school day, is not a morning person. Like first couple hours that he's awake, he barely says words. So I was practicing with Gabe, my 9-year-old. I said, "Well, what's it going to be like when Paul's in charge?" I said, "Okay, he's kind of grumpy in the morning. So if you walk into the kitchen and he said, what does that mean?" And Gabe says, "Oh, it means I should get myself some water and look for my
Oh, I love
lunchbox
it.
or whatever." I said, "Yeah, okay." When you walk into the mudroom and Paul says, what does that mean? I said, "Oh, it means get my shoes on and put my backpack on." And I thought, this was a really interesting exercise because what am I saying every day? Get yourself some water, get your lunchbox, put your shoes on, right. We remind our kids all the time. Fascinating experiment to just ask them, what do you think is next? Or read
Yeah.
my mind. What do you think I'm about to say? Because more times than not, they know, which means we probably should raise the bar on what we're expecting of them.
Oh, that's so funny. And then in my house, I think we've come to a point where the kids are giving me the 5 minute warning, like, Mama, we have to leave in 5 minutes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They like to be very punctual, if not early, just like their father. So I am the one that's a little bit later and they want to
Same.
make sure.
Yup.
So I love that. I love that because so many of my friends are, saying they have to nag their friends or nag their kids all the time to have all their things. And we don't want to be in that place all the time.
Mhm. Yeah, we have to teach them to hear their own voice on
Yeah.
repeat instead of actually having our voice on repeat. And it's a teaching process. It takes time.
Yeah.
But the earlier you start, the earlier you get there, and the less times you have to say, "Rah, rah, rah, rah."
Absolutely. So everybody has busy schedules. And the biggest thing I hear is, Amy, I just don't have the time to sit down and teach my kids all these things. And I'm a full-time working mom myself, so I absolutely resonate. I get it. But especially for this reason, this is why I think it's important because it actually helps us when we teach them, right? So, how can we help people find time to teach their kids life skills?
Well, first of all, I can help, right? So pulling in other people on your
Yeah.
parenting team is absolutely fantastic. And so that's what our Life Skills Now summer camp does for parents. It allows you to have like someone else telling your kids what to do, which is really,
Mhm.
really nice because then the kids listen. It's like that
Yes,
that
especially as
magic
they
of
get
not
older.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wow, someone other than my mom said that. It must be, it's actually real. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been saying the same thing for 5 years. So
Absolutely.
that's helpful, pulling in other people on your parenting team and like using a system or using online workshops. The other thing is to remind yourself that you get time back, right? This is an investment. So yes, teaching your kid to clean a toilet the first time takes that task from 6 minutes to 16. Bummer. But once your child learns how to do it, now that 6 minutes for you is down to zero. So ultimately, if we just want to run the numbers, you absolutely get time back. And so it's called an investment, right? It's like when you invest your money, you're not giving your money away. You're not wasting your money. You're just putting it somewhere for it to get bigger. Same thing with your time. You're not wasting time teaching your kids. You have to scrape up a little bit of time and just think of it as like one skill at a time, right? Don't teach your kids to clean the bathroom, just teach the toilet, just teach the mirror, right? If you don't have a lot of time. So then you're only adding like 5 minutes to your day and you're moving on, but you know you're going to have that return on investment coming back tenfold, a thousandfold, both on your time and you're raising better kids. So it's a total win-win.
I get so
You just got to
excited
figure it
when
out.
our faces light up, right? Say, "Oh my gosh, you did that. That's so great. Thank you."
Mhm.
And just beaming.
Yeah. And a lot of parents say, but my kid takes so long, even after I've taught them.
Mhm.
Okay, but watch this. Again, when Gabe was 8, he asked to learn to clean toilets. It was one of those jobs. I don't know why. I just never
Woohoo.
taught the kids. I thought that's just too gross. Like the kids, they were all, the rest of them were all trained in like dusting and floors and all these different things, but he was the baby of the family and he always felt like he had no special job. He got like the dumb easy jobs like wiping baseboards or something. So he's like, I want to learn to clean the toilet because nobody else knows that. So it'll be mine. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Right. So I taught him and then here's what, so the next couple times, like again, he takes 3 times as long as I do to clean the
Mhm.
toilet. So what we'll do is then I'm cleaning the rest of the bathroom. And I finish the whole rest of the bathroom in the time he's cleaning the toilet, but we're together. So
Yeah.
he's not, I don't know, when kids are sent off to do a chore by themselves, sometimes they just feel grumpy,
Yeah.
right? So there's something about side along working or like mirroring your work that it just makes everyone feel a little better because we're connected with that kid. And I can move at my speed doing my job. He can move at his speed doing his job. And I can kind of correct and redirect, like, oh, don't forget to do this. Or do you remember how to be thorough? Stuff like that, so that he's not getting bad habits and doing, an insufficient job. So that's what I would recommend is teach your child a portion
Mhm.
of a bigger task and then you can do the rest and so again it's not really taking more time. The whole job is getting done in about the same amount of time as you would do it, sometimes a little less.
Yeah. We do this with like 15-minute cleanups too at the end of the day,
Nice.
where we're just like, okay, everybody just go do your 15-minute cleanups. It might be in the same room, it might be in different rooms, but same timer, right? And then we all do it at the same time. It's a little more encouraging than go clean your room or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And I'm sure you had to train, like, what do you do during a 15-minute
Mhm.
cleanup? Because kids will just wander around like in a
Yeah,
pinball machine. You have to
yeah,
teach them, like, look around, pick up one thing that's out of place. Like, we really have to break this down for kids. It's a good challenge for us, I'm sure, linguistically, to narrate everything we're doing. So it's building our brains too. Wow, another benefit.
yeah. So, Life Skills Camp, you mentioned that this is happening. So, let's dive right into it. This is one of the tools you offer. This is the third year that you're doing it. It is a virtual summer camp, completely free for everyone. I'm really looking forward to it. And there's tons of experts that are coming together for the event. and people that have been part of my summit will see some familiar faces, which is exciting. So can you share more about the details, what kind of topics, and if there's like a few that you want to say, oh man, parents, you cannot miss this, or these were the funnest ones for us to make, please share those.
Well, Life Skills Now summer camp, it is 100% online, which means anyone from anywhere can access it. But I don't want you to hear online or virtual and think, oh, great, it's just another thing on screens. Because my goal is productive screen time and then get them off,
Mhm.
right? So these are short videos. They're 5 minutes, 12, 17 minutes. It's a very short amount of time on the screen, and then they are off into the world because every camp leader gives them a mission that they need to complete. And so they're very tangible, hands-on or minds-on. Most of them are off screen. Some of our teen workshops are teaching like how to use Trello. Well, so of course, like their missions on the screen, but there are very few rule breakers. So we're getting the kids off the screen. A lot of people are saying, "What's the catch? I don't think this can be free." I just answered some Facebook questions today. They're like, yeah, there's got to be a catch. We're so skeptical in our world today. There
Always.
really, there really isn't a catch. June 24th to 28th, all 100 workshops from 70 different experts are completely free. So, I mean, the only catch is that there is a time limit, right? That they'll show up and then they'll disappear. But you can use any workshop you want within the 24-hour cycle that it's available for free. And actually, when you sign up right away, you can use 13 workshops again for free all the way till the end of June. So you've got a ton of flexibility. There are 100 workshops. It's so hard to choose some of my
You know?
favorites. So one of our experts this year is Dr. Sarah Ballantyne. She's a PhD scientist, and one of her missions is to show people all the healthy things in food as opposed to here's what we need to avoid and cut and omit from our diets. And so she teaches kids how why your genes might make vegetables taste horrible to you
Mm.
and really practical hacks to overcome your genetic system and help enjoy vegetables in a better way. And so then our family took all of her hacks and we applied them to Brussels sprouts. So it's like it's two different workshops. So Dr. Sarah's teaching how to love vegetables, and then we show in the kitchen like here's how to specifically apply all these three hacks to Brussels sprouts. So that was just really fun because Dr. Sarah is engaging and dynamic, and I love her teaching style. And so then it was cool to be able to go into the kitchen and
So
make
funny, I
that.
just watched that one this morning.
No
And
way.
then,
Isn't she great?
yes, it's just about the bitter, and the way
Yeah.
that she speaks, I agree. It was very engaging for the kids as well as parents. Just find it entertaining and enlightening as well.
So cool. We've got so fun fact from last year's season two, like 3 or 4 of the top 5 watched workshops were the ones that on the surface seem boring. How to clean a bathroom, how to clean your room. Like we're like, really? Oh my gosh. And so this year we have some that on the surface will sound boring, but just imagine when your kids know these things. We have dusting, we have sweeping, we have a 3-part laundry series, including stains, because oh my gosh, kids and stains, they're
Absolutely.
so messy. So I
Oh my
figure if we can
gosh.
get them to manage their own stains, wouldn't that be
Yeah.
lovely? Um, and just like how to pack a suitcase.
Hmm.
So simple. But again, imagine empowering your kids with that. I interviewed a young entrepreneur once who said part of her success she attributes to her parents making her pack her own suitcase starting at age 7, call for her own dentist appointment starting at age like 8 or 10 or something. And I thought that's really interesting to hear. Just these simple life tasks made
Yeah.
her into a super successful 20 something entrepreneur.
Love that.
Oh, we have
You
an
never know, right?
entrepreneurship
These
chat.
little things that we do as parents. And
Yeah.
we can
And
start now
speak.
for people that are going, oh my gosh, my kids are already teenagers. It's never too late to start.
No.
Just start. Yeah.
Never too late. Today is the best day. And speaking of entrepreneurship, we have a whole entrepreneurship track as well. And that's really fun. Just how to come up with business ideas. Matt Smith of Paleo Valley teaches the art of the upsell and how McDonald's has made like $9 billion asking, do you want fries with that? So how do you apply that to like your lemonade stand or your dog grooming business? Just really cool practical stuff.
I love that. Yeah. And one of the other things, there's a lot of topic of money, right? And by day, I am a finance person, and frugal person by life. And
Mhm.
so, instilling that in my kids, I think has come along the way, but I love that this talks about all different kinds of things, banks and, all the things that we might not even think to talk about. So I love that.
Yeah, the finances track is really good this year as well.
So many things that we didn't even touch on. So, friends, just go look at it. I don't know if you heard, but it's free. And free is one of my favorite F words, if not
I love
the
it.
favorite F word. So go check it out. The link is going to be in the description. You'll see me share about it in all my different places because I absolutely love what Katie is doing and what all this stands for. If you have questions or some of the talks seem really excited and you want people to talk about it with, put it in the comments. We want to hear what it is that you're excited about and have questions about so we can answer that for you. And like Katie said, it does go away. So if you want to keep them forever, you can upgrade. That is your choice. And I think it is a tremendous value that pays for itself real quick. But I will leave that up to you. Any other things you want to leave our parents with?
We kind of said today is the best day to start. Like it's never too late, whether your kid's 2 or 12 or 22. I guess if they're out of your house, might be a little late, but today is the best day. So just take one step. Try to, be that detective and look at your child. Like, what does he or she maybe need next? And what's the very first step I can take so that our brains don't feel overwhelmed? And then just take that step this week. Challenge yourself.
I love that. Thank you, Katie, as always, for sharing your gift of teaching and helping raise a healthier next generation with us.